Yo, it's your boy Mike K. Smith, also known as AKIS, also known as Coolest Guy in Sports. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Also follow me on AKIS NBA and all the social media platforms. Tap in. Talking about the WNBA, the NBA, anything basketball related. And it's crazy because it seems like I'm very confused because Caitlin Clark was the number one player for his merchandise sales for this past season in her rookie inaugural season in the WNBA with the Indiana Fever to go along to win the Rookie of the Year, to go along and become a top four MVP, finish top four in the MVP race, to also finish first team All WNBA. So she's been impressive. And anytime that she literally has an opportunity to sell merchandise, it literally sells out in probably minutes. And we know Nike signed her to a long-term deal. We know Nike represents Caitlin Clark. We know with Caitlin Clark, it comes a lot of tension, whether it's positive tension, whether it's negative attention. But it just seems like when it comes to the marketability factor, we all can agree that Caitlin Clark is a megastar from a marketability standpoint, considering the fact that, once again, as a rookie, she was the number one in merchandise sales. And also her teammate, who didn't even play a lot with the Las Vegas Aces, finished in the top five. And a lot of that had to do with Caitlin Clark and because they were teammates in Iowa and because Caitlin Clark had a whole bunch of success and the fan base wanted to really help out her teammate as well with the Las Vegas Aces, another rookie, but she didn't even play compared to Caitlin Clark. And also Angel Reese finished number two, of course. So we saw two rookies in the WNBA for its merchandise sales have a big impact and make a lot of money for the sport of basketball and also just for the WNBA in general. So when we have this ad that appeared, and I'm going to show the ad in a minute for us, Paige Bueckers, the ad that she's got featured on Nike for Black Friday, it brings into question what is really going on with Caitlin Clark and for the lack of her coverage or just the way she's viewed by the WNBA for us, like misspelling her name, with them not getting her records right when they're posting about her, with them being late to congratulate her, with them waiting until all the awards were basically over with and then finally announcing the Rookie of the Year award where everybody knew that, like, this was the award that everybody was waiting on. So it just seems like she has this, it's a negative commutation around Caitlin Clark, and it's a lot of phonetic energy around Caitlin Clark that just doesn't make sense, especially from a money standpoint, because money talks, and we're talking money. Caitlin Clark sells. So I'm very confused at why things have been the way they have been, and it just seems like this isn't the first time it feels like Nike is kind of snubbed Caitlin Clark in favor of another athlete. And then it's just funny because Paige Bueckers, as great as she is in college still. So it's just like releasing a UConn star for his Caitlin Clark merchandise, or it's not even merchandise. It's more so having her promo on Nike as a person that's still in college, and you have the rookie, you have the face of the WNBA, you have the face of women's basketball, not really being pushed. It does seem like a snub to most people and Caitlin Clark fans, to be honest, on the Black Friday, which is one of the biggest holiday shopping days ever. And we know that Caitlin Clark and Paige Bueckers are both sponsored by the multi-billion-dollar brand in Nike. But once again, it feels like Caitlin Clark is being snubbed in favor of Paige Bueckers, who is still in college. And it even goes to the fact that Paige Bueckers signed a deal this prior season. It was 2023. I think she signed her Nike sponsorship deal. So she has an endorsement deal with Nike. And the two biggest names in basketball for the women's side is probably Paige Bueckers, and we know, of course, Caitlin Clark. So both of them are part of the Nike family. So that's not really a problem. But Caitlin Clark signed a deal for image, name, and likeness in 2022, and Paige Bueckers was 2023 when she signed her NIL deal. So you got the two women of basketball both having the biggest brand backing them, but it just seems like the biggest brand in the world is backing Paige Bueckers more so than Caitlin Clark. And it's kind of not just with this Black Friday Nike ad, but it's also with the Nike GT Hustle 3 shoe that Paige Bueckers is going to become the first college athlete to get a signature. It's not a signature shoe, to get a sneaker released by Nike that she's going to don, that she's going to wear, that she's going to be able to like generate money off of, and people are going to buy. It's not a signature shoe, but people are going to be, the shoe and Paige Bueckers is going to be synonymous together because of the fact that she's going to be the athlete that they're promoting this shoe with. So it's very interesting. And then even with Nike, for it's like the ads that they did with Caitlin Clark, and they did some great ads. I love the Caitlin Clark when she was shattering records. Like what's a rookie record for a rookie? When Nike dropped that campaign, they dropped that ad. And also when she broke the NCAA score record, they released an ad as well. So Nike does release ads for Caitlin Clark, but it just shocks me that, a Black Friday ad and you see Paige Bueckers over Caitlin Clark. And I'm about to show you guys what it says. So here's the ad. It's the Black Friday early access Kicks Born to Perform, and you see Paige Bueckers and you see the shoe that they're highlighting and they're showing. And then of course, this was on their website, Black Friday early access for premier members of the Nike family. Of course, if you have a Nike account and things of that nature. And Paige Bueckers, she's doing good things and great things, but it's a little shocking that Caitlin Clark, who is also signed with Nike, who's also been a Rookie of the Year, who's also stamped in a professional women's basketball national association, she's not featured on this Black Friday ad, and they decided to go with Paige Bueckers, who once again, outside of Caitlin Clark, is probably the biggest face of the women's basketball game. She may be even a little bigger than Angel Reese. I don't know yet. We have to wait to see how her stock and her marketability gets into college, of course. But still, though, maybe I'm crazy. Maybe some Caitlin Clark fans are overreacting, but it just seems once again that for Nike, when it comes to Caitlin Clark, how come there's no sales for us? Like, how come there's no clothing deal? How come there's no T-shirts? How come it's not a signature shoe? How come it's not even a signature? How come it's not a shoe like Paige Bueckers is getting with the GT3? How come Caitlin Clark doesn't have a shoe that she can represent until she gets her signature shoe? How come we don't have any merchandise of Nike with Caitlin Clark's name on it, or maybe like a logo or something? So it's kind of like when we're talking about the promotion of Caitlin Clark for Nike, they haven't really done a great job of promoting her the way that she can be promoted, because once again, she is a money-making machine. Anything that has her name on it sells out. We're seeing it right now with her participating in golf, which is not even her main sport. The crowds that she's drawing and the money that this tournament that she's receiving, that they're receiving because of Caitlin Clark, and a recognition of and the brand exposure of all these other golf players, is happening because of Caitlin Clark. So if you're Nike, you would think multi-billion-dollar brand, we want to make money, we should be promoting our best player in Caitlin Clark, but it's not. They're not doing that. So they're not their best player, but their most famous woman athlete in Caitlin Clark. They're not doing that. So it brings a question of what's going on, and Nike's a little bit under scrutiny, because it feels like this is not the first time that this is happening with Caitlin Clark in the Nike brand. But and let me show you the shoes, because the shoes are fire that Paige is in. Is really fire. As you can see, this is coming out December 2024. Paige Bueckers X Nike GT Hustle 3 releases. These are hard. These are tough. It says Paige Bueckers celebrated UConn guard, is set to make history with her signature Nike sneaker, the Paige Bueckers X Nike GT Hustle 3. So hold up now. This is not a signature shoe, but it's like a Nike. It's a signature Nike sneaker, and it's called the Paige Bueckers. Okay, so now it's like when we have a conversation about when we have a conversation about Paige Bueckers and Caitlin Clark, it's not a signature shoe that Paige is getting, but it is a signature sneaker with Paige Bueckers' name, the Paige Bueckers X Nike GT Hustle. That is her name on it. So once again, she will make money. She will profit off of it. She is promoting, as we see, is releasing in December 2024. She becomes the first college athlete essentially with their own sneaker, even though it's not a technically quote unquote signature shoe. It kind of feels that way. And we know that Caitlin Clark signed a 8-year, $28 million contract, and we don't know when her signature shoe is going to drop, and we know Nike likes to take their time with when it comes to signature shoes and things of that nature. And we know A'ja Wilson still doesn't have her signature shoe. And if I'm just being a realist, I'm pretty sure A'ja Wilson's signature shoe is gonna come before Caitlin Clark, even though Caitlin Clark, once again, this past season led the WNBA merchandise sales for its fanatics. She led the merchandise sales according to the reports this past season as a rookie. So I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy. Maybe some of the Caitlin Clark fans are crazy, but it's very interesting. I can't front. It's very interesting, and it's a lot going on. And I feel like Paige Bueckers, we know she just the lottery. The Dallas Wings just got the lottery with the number 1 overall lottery. They're going to probably pick Paige Bueckers to be the number 1 overall player out of college. But it just seems like it's a lot of constant comparisons with Paige Bueckers and Caitlin Clark. But you have to remember, before Caitlin Clark really emerged, unless you're a purist like myself, an analyst, you watch the game, you watch players, you see their craft, you look at things that they can bring to the WNBA level. I was watching Caitlin Clark her freshman year in Iowa. I knew about Caitlin Clark before she really blew up. And the thing about it is, if you look at before Paige Bueckers got hurt and tore her ACL, Paige Bueckers was considered the chosen one. And then Caitlin Clark came along and filled that void once Paige Bueckers had got hurt. But the NCAA, the WNBA, the way that they talk about Paige Bueckers in comparison to Caitlin Clark, it's, Paige Bueckers is the most ready WNBA player in the draft. Caitlin Clark is going to struggle when she gets to the WNBA. She's going to struggle with the physicality. Paige Bueckers is not going to struggle because she's very skilled and she can play in a variety of different ways. Her game is very portable, and she's been playing at a high-level competition and playing in the best conference in the college game, and she's with UConn, and she has a legacy behind her. All those things is different compared to Caitlin Clark. If you haven't noticed, and now we're talking about the marketability factor, we're talking about Nike, we're talking about Paige Bueckers being the first ever college athlete to have a special edition shoe in a Nike GT Hustle 3 that's going to be released by Nike. That's a big deal. And then we know how the WNBA players, how much they love Paige Bueckers in comparison to Caitlin Clark, and how they kind of favor Paige Bueckers due to the fact that she's more vocal. She stands up for things that she believes in, due to her SB speech, due to her just being more palatable for a lot of people and a lot of different reasons why that is. Paige Bueckers makes people feel more comfortable than Caitlin Clark, because Caitlin Clark isn't like a Paige Bueckers for being more vocal or being more out on the scene and being in LA like Paige Bueckers was, and in the court side and the NBA draft and all these things, and being fly like Paige Bueckers. She has that appeal when you think of a superstar. Caitlin Clark, homegrown, grew up in Iowa, Midwest, chose to play in Iowa, her hometown. Then she gets drafted in a Midwest region as well, playing with the Indiana Fever. She's all about basketball. She's all about buckets. She's all about the game within the game. And everything outside of the game is kind of like she doesn't really care about, even though people want her to care about, if that makes sense. So it's you have two different types of players. You have two different types of players that Nike's going to market in different ways. But Paige is definitely more marketable than Caitlin Clark to the outside looking in comparison to the real purists and the real hoop heads that love the game of basketball, love the product on the court, loves that Caitlin Clark is the greatest generator this league has ever seen, love the fact, the way that she amalgamates playmaking and scoring into something that's beautiful, something that's like creating a canvas on the basketball court, and her shot making ability, her handling ability, and things of that nature. Like, her game is truly excitement. It's truly electric. And that's what we care about. But unfortunately, when you're a superstar, when you're a megastar, Caitlin Clark is going to have to kind of play up more of her marketing ability. And that's why when you see her on the runway with the designer clothes and the designer bags and things of that nature, that's what she has to kind of do, because we're already seeing Caitlin Clark not be marketed by the biggest brand outside of Apple. We're already seeing they're choosing to pick a college player to market over Caitlin Clark, who's done it in the professional league. She's stamped. We already kind of seeing that right now. So it's going to be interesting. And I just hope that going forward, to be honest, that, and I really hope that for the game of basketball, I really hope that, because I feel like what's going to happen is a lot of people are pushing to find a rivalry for Caitlin Clark. And the game is changing in the women's side. The game is going to become more modern. It's going to become more electric. Caitlin Clark is the chosen one because she's the first. But it's a lot of women that's coming that is going to be able to have similar skill sets as Caitlin Clark. Is going to bring some of that same electric excitement in to the WNBA. But you got to do it on a professional level first before we can compare it to the one that's done it on a professional level. So I hope when you people are setting up a lot of these young up-and-coming players, the Paige Bueckers, the Juju, the Fly Jays, like, you got to let them do it first. They have to do it in college first, and they have to come and dominate as a rookie first, because people are setting these women up for failure, because everybody wants a rivalry and everybody wants Caitlin Clark to have a rival. But if you don't have that on-court basketball production, then it's a problem. Then it's an issue, because then it's going to be like, well, are you doing what matters the most? Are you producing on the basketball court? Because at the end of the day, we know them as basketball players first. And I don't know if my mic cut out. Let me know in the chat, y'all. Maybe my mic cut out. I don't know. Yeah, I think my mic cut out. Oh no, it's still cooking. We still live. I thought my mic cut out because my mic had went out on my shirt. But yeah, you gotta let don't set these ladies up for failure. You gotta let them be their own players, dominate in college, and then come to the WNBA, and then you can see what's up, because Caitlin Clark has already done it. She's already been the rookie of the year. She already finished top 4 in the MVP race. She's already been a first team all WNBA member as a rookie. Like, the standard that she has set, only a few people in WNBA history have set that type of standard for being electrifying as a rookie and dominating as a rookie. And when you really talk about it, Caitlin Clark has really, you can make a case that she put on one of the greatest, if not the greatest, rookie year ever in the WNBA game. and she was breaking records and records and records and records on a rookie. And that just shows me that the game is about to be more modernized, and Caitlin Clark is going to destroy a lot of records, and people coming in the game of the WNBA landscape is going to destroy more records because the game is becoming more skilled, it's becoming more fast, and this is only the beginning. But you still got to let these women showcase their ability, showcase their skill set, and actually do it first. And yes, I believe Juju can be another chosen one for the WNBA. Yes, I believe Juju is extremely talented. She's extremely gifted. And if there's anybody that can, quote unquote, probably rival Caitlin Clark, probably even surpass Caitlin Clark, who has the game, the size, the makeup, who is going to be a monster in the WNBA, it is her. But people that are comparing Juju in her sophomore year to Caitlin Clark in her senior year, or comparing the two players in their games right now, you're doing Juju a disservice because she's not in the league right now. You're doing Paige Bueckers a disservice because she's not in the league right now. You're doing Flage a disservice because she's not in the league right now, because we know what Caitlin Clark is about. She had already did it. So until they come in and do it, especially at the college level, until they start winning player of the year, Naismith, college player, breaking score records, they got to do that on the college level first. And then we'll worry about getting to the big dog league. And then we'll worry about producing on the WNBA. But we got to stop letting people with these comparisons with Juju and Paige and Flage. They should be comparing each other because they're still in college. They're still an amateur, quote unquote, even though they got the NIL deal. They're making that money, they're making that bread. But y'all get what I mean. So it's going to be interesting. But for us, the Nike and the Caitlin Clark situation, I don't necessarily like it. I don't really jive with it, to be honest. But unfortunately, it is what it is. This is what we're seeing right now. For us, Nike kind of promoting Paige more so than promoting Caitlin Clark. And at the same time, I guess we just gonna have to wait and see. But I know when Nike eventually starts pushing Caitlin Clark merch, making Caitlin Clark shirts, making Caitlin Clark headbands and gear and things like that, the wristbands and all that stuff. And when she gets finally her signature shoe, or if she gets a signature sneaker like a Paige Bueckers, which is crazy that Caitlin Clark don't even have a signature sneaker, but it's going to sell in a minute, and they're going to see the impact quickly right away. Somebody said they want to bring Caitlin down so bad. Mo Palmer, what's up, man? Nike don't want Caitlin; they just don't want the competition to get her. and this is a reaction, and this is how a lot of people feel, because when you set yourself up for comments like this, you set yourself up for people questioning and wondering, how come Nike hasn't promoting Caitlin Clark the way they promoted Paige Bueckers? How come Nike hasn't promoted Caitlin Clark the way they promoted LeBron James? How come Nike hasn't promoted Caitlin Clark the way they promoted Kevin Durant? Like, they were getting promo and ads and magazine covers, with their shoes and things of that nature when there was rookies and in college. So it makes sense why people feel that Nike may not want Caitlin Clark, but they signed her because they didn't want anybody to get her and things of that nature. It wouldn't surprise me if once her contract is up, depending on how things go, if Caitlin Clark decides to go somewhere else. But I think in the 8-year tender that she has with Nike, I think it's going to be great things, because at the end of the day, they're not going to have any choice. Mo Palmer, they are activist corporation. See, I wouldn't consider Nike an activist corporation. I would consider none of these multi-billion-dollar corporations anything to do with activism, to be honest, because I know they promoted Colin Kaepernick during that saga with the NFL, and rightfully so, for sticking up to for Colin Kaepernick and things of that nature. But I don't think it's because of that, Mo, to be honest. I just think when it comes to Caitlin Clark, it's a lot of spinetic energy that the WNBA, Nike, UConn, men's basketball coaches, the media, women's basketball coaches, players, it's a lot of jealousy that comes with Caitlin Clark, with her being a chosen one. And sometimes when you're the first to do something, It's like heavy is the head that wears the crown. Caitlin Clark has the crown, so she's going to get the most scrutiny. She's going to get the most hate, similar to LeBron James when he was deemed the chosen one. He got the most scrutiny. He got the most hate. But also, Caitlin Clark gets the most love. LeBron gets the most love. And when you are deemed the chosen one, you kind of get two. You get both of it. You get the love, you get the hate at the same time. So I think that's what we're seeing with Caitlin Clark. But I'm interested to see what's going to happen with Nike and with Caitlin Clark, because it's very interesting. I'm going to show it again. Show it one more time for chat that's coming in a little late. Here is Black Friday early access. This was the ad. As you can see, Black Friday early access, kicks born perform. And these not even the shoes. Performance change sport for athletes like Paige Bueckers. Her style keeps pushing boundaries today. And here is Paige Bueckers. Here's her signature sneaker. As she making history. Look at this. Marks a significant moment as she becomes the first college player to ever have a Nike signature shoe. So it's a signature sneaker, really. It was not a signature shoe. But at the same time, it's just like, damn, this is what we doing. People talking about Paige and Kiss the Ring because of Paige. I explained that earlier in the stream. Paige is she's more marketable for Nike. She is more likable in terms of WNBA athletes love her. Nike loves her. She is a UConn athlete. Everything that Paige Bueckers has done within her career in basketball screams I'm a more marketable player than Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark didn't go to a powerhouse. Caitlin Clark stayed true to herself. Caitlin Clark is from Iowa, went to school in Iowa, made Iowa a basketball powerhouse. Iowa didn't have no top 25 recruits on her roster. Iowa and Caitlin Clark was getting out the mud. She was a generator. She put Iowa on the map. Then she gets drafted by the Indiana Fever, another Midwest, not necessarily marketable region. We know Indiana for its basketball and the historic concept around like Larry Bird and this and that. But when we talk about Indiana, we don't think of Indiana as a marketable region. Caitlin Clark has put Indiana and the Indiana Fever on her back. Now she's going to have stars want to come play with her in Indiana. Now she's, her jersey sales is Indiana. Like this is all Caitlin Clark. So Paige is definitely more marketable than Caitlin Clark. And for that, it's just kind of like we see it with Juju. And Juju has a story like growing up poor and things of that nature as well. But USC is still a powerhouse school comparison to Iowa. Someone said woke politics is very simple. Let Caitlin drop a Black Lives Matter speech similar to Paige. We would have been got Nike merch. Let me tell y'all something. Like maybe that is true. Maybe that's not true. But because Paige has came out and spoken up on issues and things of that nature, but also Caitlin Clark has came out and spoken up on issues and things that misogyny, racism, and white supremacy. Caitlin Clark has received hatred for liking a Taylor Swift post when she endorsed Kamala Harris. So Caitlin Clark is a liberal for the accounts of everything that she stands for and promotes. And she's not for hatred. She's not for bigotry. So I can't sit up and say, like, let Caitlin Clark drop a Black Lives Matter speech similar to Paige Bueckers that is going to make a difference, because I've seen Caitlin Clark stand up for what is right. I've seen Caitlin Clark make statements. I've seen Caitlin Clark showcase her support, and it's still not generating Nike to drop more merch. It's still not generating Nike to expedite her signature shoe. It's still not generating a WNBA or Nike to promote her more. And when I talk about the WNBA, not get her name wrong in tweets, not get her records wrong in tweets, not make statements about social media and cyberbullying from WNBA players searching Caitlin Clark's name up after a loss and seeing her crazy ass troll fans that's not real fans at all. It ain't made a difference in none of that either. So I can't really, I don't know, man. I don't know. BBS, I don't know. Maybe it's Caitlin's own doing for all we know. I don't know at this point. I don't know either. I don't know either. I don't know either. And I want to quickly talk about, I'm going to pivot real quick because I want to talk about some NBA real quick because it's a conversation I feel like needs to be had. And it's with Luka Doncic and it's with Jason Tatum. And Luka Doncic is currently out right now. Jason Tatum is playing. He's having his best season in the NBA right now. He's looking like the front runner for the MVP race with Nikola Jokic as well. And it brings up the question because I think about Caitlin Clark, who plays a similar play style as in Luka Doncic. And then we look at Paige Bueckers, who plays a more portable play style similar to Jason Tatum. And Luka Doncic is a generator. He's a dual forward. He's probably the only dual forward in the league that doesn't play defense. But when we talk about accumulating points, rebounds, assists, he is phenomenal. He is a top 3 offensive engine in the world in the game of basketball on the NBA side. But the reason why I always wanted Jason Tatum over Luka Doncic is because Jason Tatum can give you 30. He's shown the ability to play make at a high level, especially this past postseason when if you watch the NBA Finals, he was actually a better playmaker than Luka Doncic, as well as he can guard and defend 1 through 4 in the basketball court. And he's also the more portable player. Put Jason Tatum in any offense within the NBA, he's going to have success. He's going to succeed. You can't put Luka Doncic in any offense in the NBA where he's going to have success and he's going to succeed due to the fact that his play style is very generator-like. His play style is very, I have to do everything on the basketball court. His play style is not like coming off screens, being on the wing in isolation and passing the ball and then making a move, or being a more team-oriented player. So you have to factor that in when you always comparison players. And I look at Caitlin Clark and I look at Paige Bueckers, and for us like the WNBA, it's going to be interesting to see what Paige becomes in the WNBA, because if she gets drafted by the Dallas Wings, she would be probably a point guard because they already have Enrique. And I think that would probably be the worst possible thing for Paige Bueckers to be in, for us, like her having to be a full-time point guard, even though she plays a point guard right now with UConn. I feel like she's more better in that off-ball shooting guard position where she can be a portable player, where she can come off screens, where she can come off pin downs, where she can play on the isolation, where she can, create on the wings, on the left, the right wing, and get to the rim and things of that nature. Like, she's a more portable player and she can play defense. But having the ball in her hands, then she's going to be expected to play this play style like a Caitlin Clark, which she's not really great at. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like when you look at Luka Doncic and you look at Jason Tatum, and people love to throw in the comparison of, well, Jason Tatum's always been on the better team. He's always had a better team than Luka Doncic. And I look at some of the Luka rosters that he's had with the Dallas Mavericks. It's like, well, he's had great players. He's had Porzingis. He's had Kyrie Irving. He's had Jalen Brunson. But his play style is not as adaptable as a Jason Tatum. I've seen Jason Tatum come in and be just a scorer. I've seen Jason Tatum be a small forward and play the small forward role. I've seen Jason Tatum play a dual forward role, being the lead playmaker in the 2020 for NBA Finals. Like, we've seen Jason Tatum play different play styles and different roles, as well as guard 1 through 4 in the basketball court. And he's more of a portable player and can play within different types of offense in comparisons to Luka Doncic. So when people say, like, oh, if you swap the two, who would have more success? Who would be the better basketball player? This and that. I'm still probably going to say, well, I've seen one guy play in several different roles and be adaptable in all those roles in comparison to a guy that has to play a certain role and is good enough to play this role that you build a team around. Because as great as Jason Tatum is, he can't play the Luka Doncic role for an entire 82 game season in the postseason. He's just not as gifted as Luka Doncic in that role. But that doesn't mean that, like, he can't have success in Dallas in comparison to Luka Doncic. Because if you take the ball out of Luka Doncic's hands, he's not doing what Jason Tatum is doing. So Cody Cha said Nike's based in Eugene, Oregon. The entire marketing department is blue-haired activists. Y'all have to stop with the, like, I keep telling y'all, like, there's nothing, and this is what you got to understand. Like, I'm not for none of that shit when it comes to, like, against activists or for hate or none of that. I'm strictly love to talk about the game of basketball. This is what I do. I talked about the game of basketball. I don't really care about the politics, but I don't view, basketball and politics, they intersect because politics intersects with everything, of course. But for like Eugene, Oregon, and the marketing department, Blue Hair Act, I don't know. I can't really sit up and say, like, what they got in Oregon and things of that nature. And I already talked about this in the stream earlier on with Paige Bueckers and things of that nature, and with Caitlin Clark doing some of the similar things as Paige Bueckers, but still not getting the love and the shine that she deserves. So I don't know. But at the end of the day, I don't think it's about activism. I think it's about what's right. And Paige Bueckers speaks on and does the right things, and she's been applauded for it. Caitlin Clark speaks on and does the right things, and she's been applauded by people like me and the purists and the analysts and people that love the game of basketball, but she hasn't been applauded by everybody else in comparison to Paige Bueckers, which goes back to what I talked about earlier in the stream. Paige Bueckers went to UConn, powerhouse, Deanna Taurasi, Sue Bird, like Breanna Stewart, that family, Gino, like that's big for them. That's the basketball, women's basketball, like ultimate like place for his women's basketball. Like, that plays a part in a lot of things. That played a part in the Caitlin Clark hatred. Caitlin Clark has done everything that's polar opposite to be a megastar, and she's still a megastar. And that's credit to who she is as a person. That's credit to her game. That's credit to her sticking true to her roots. But she's everything opposite of a megastar in comparison to what Paige Bueckers has done. Went to UConn, is a fashion icon, streetwear, on court side, connecting with NBA athletes, connecting with rappers. Like, she's everything for a marketability standpoint that the league loves to promote. And she speaks on social issues. Caitlin Clark, she be in designer. She is cold at the game of basketball. She's the chosen one. She speaks out when she needs to speak out. Like, she does all these things as well, but she's from Iowa. She's from middle of America. And somebody that's from the Midwest, I'm from St. Louis, Missouri. It's much harder for somebody to go out, and I live on the East Coast now, but it's much harder for somebody to come where you're from, the Midwest, and to make it out on the East Coast and to get into and tap into a market that it's hard to tap into, especially when you stayed true to your roots in the Midwest and you went to college in the Midwest and you got drafted by the Indiana Fever. Let Caitlin Clark would have got drafted by the Sparks. We wouldn't even be having this conversation right now. Let Caitlin Clark would have went to UConn. We wouldn't even be having this conversation right now. Let Caitlin Clark would have been selected on the USA team. We wouldn't even be having this conversation right now because she would have probably got selected on the USA team if she was a UConn, if she went to UConn, if she played on a different team, a bigger market. Like, all these things matter in the game of basketball. And that's why when we talk about like hoop politics, it's a lot of hoop politics that have came into play against Caitlin Clark. But I appreciate y'all for hopping on the stream. It's your boy, Paige Smith. Make sure y'all go like, comment, and subscribe. I'm gone, man. Peace. Also, if you have a niece, if you have a nephew, if you got a son, if you got a daughter, I got a book out on Amazon. It's called Becoming Kobe Bryant. Let me see if I got a copy. Bam, bam. Go cop that. It's the holiday season. We all know kids that need books. Let's give back to the community. Once again, I'm a Midwestern boy from St. Louis, Missouri, just trying to always get the game of basketball known, even in the younger generation as well. But I really appreciate y'all. I'm going to try to get to streaming every day. I'm trying. It's just like I'm trying to get to streaming every day. Hopefully y'all like the mix of, and maybe I could do a mix of WNBA, NBA content and locking in together. So y'all let me know what y'all want that. Like, but yeah, it's your boy Paige Smith. Make sure y'all go like, comment, and subscribe. But this is crazy though. This is real life crazy of like what how Nike kind of coming for is like the Caitlin Clark situation, Paige situation. And it's going to get interesting because it's only going to get worse, I feel, before it gets better. Because everybody, once you kind of put yourself on the market as I'm that it girl, I'm the one, I am a beast, I'm a monster, and I ain't really do it with the machine. I did it off the strength of my own homegrown player, and I'm her. Because now you put yourself, well, you don't really need nobody because you got such a powerful fan base behind you that's backing for you, that's riding for you, and you did things the non-traditional way, and you still about it, and you still balling, and you still getting money. And it's just like they can't take nothing away from Caitlin Clark. It's like, what you gonna say now? It's like my boy Jason Tatum when he won the finals. Like, what you gonna say now? Kevin Durant, we held up the finals MVP and the trophy. He was like, what y'all gonna say now? Because like, what y'all gonna say now? And that's always the best feeling in the world, when you have the hate and you have the love, but sometimes it feels like the hate is more than the love. It's like it feels good once you reach the mountaintop. And I believe Caitlin Clark is going to reach that mountaintop in the next 2 to 3 years. And then it's going to be like, what you gonna say now? But it's your boy Paige Smith. Make sure y'all like, comment, and subscribe. I'm gone, man. Peace.